In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers headed into the brutal, freezing depths of the Soviet Ural Mountains. They were young, skilled, and prepared for the harsh winter. But they never returned. When rescuers finally found their campsite on the slopes of Dead Mountain, what they discovered baffled investigators for decades. The hikers' tent was sliced open from the inside. Their belongings, including their shoes and heavy coats, were left behind. As the bodies were recovered over the following weeks, the mystery only deepened. Some were found in their underwear in sub-zero temperatures. Others had suffered catastrophic internal injuries equivalent to a high-speed car crash, yet had no external bruises. And, strangest of all, some of their clothes carried high levels of radiation. What made 9 elite hikers flee into a freezing blizzard to their deaths? Was it an avalanche, a military cover-up, or something far more terrifying?
ENIGMAVA. Unlock the unknown. Uncovering the secrets of time.
To understand what happened, we have to look at the group itself. Led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, the group consisted of 8 men and 2 women, mostly students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Their goal was a Grade 3 ski trek, the most difficult certification available at the time. They were true professionals, not amateurs. On January 25th, they reached the small settlement of Vijay. Here, one member, Yuri Yudin, fell ill with chronic rheumatism and had to turn back. This twist of fate would save his life. The remaining 9 pushed forward into the wilderness. By February 1st, they began climbing the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, a mountain known to the indigenous Mansi people as Dead Mountain. Due to worsening weather and a blinding snowstorm, they lost their bearings and decided to pitch their tent right there on the exposed slope rather than retreating a mile down into the safety of the forest. It was a standard choice for experienced climbers. It was also the last night they would ever be seen alive. When the group failed to send an expected telegram by mid-February, families grew worried. On February 20th, a massive search rescue operation was launched. 6 days later, investigators stumbled upon the campsite. The scene made absolutely no sense. The tent was half buried in snow, empty, and slashed open from the inside. It appeared as though something had terrified them so intensely that they didn't even have time to undo the tent flaps. They cut their way out and ran. Following a trail of barefoot footprints down the slope toward the woods, rescuers made their first gruesome discoveries under a large cedar tree. The first 2 bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko, were found frozen to death, dressed only in their underwear, with their hands scraped raw from trying to climb the cedar tree. Nearby, the bodies of Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, and Rustem Slobodin were found. Based on their positions, they seem to have died while desperately trying to crawl back to the tent. The cause of death for these first 5 was ruled as hypothermia. But the mystery took a dark, violent turn when the remaining 4 hikers were found 2 months later, buried under 12 feet of snow in a nearby ravine. These 4 were better dressed. It appeared they had taken clothes from their deceased friends. But their injuries were horrific. Nikolai Thibault Brignol had a fractured skull. Semyon Zolotaryov and Lyudmila Dubinina had massive chest fractures. The force required to cause such trauma was immense, yet doctors noted there was absolutely no soft tissue damage. It was as if they were crushed by pure pressure. Even more disturbing, Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her face. The Soviet government abruptly closed the case in May 1959, concluding that the hikers died due to a compelling natural force. This vague explanation sparked countless conspiracy theories. Let's break down the most prominent ones. Some theorize that the hikers trespassed into the territory of the Menk, the Siberian Yeti. This would explain the missing tongue and the brutal crushing injuries. However, there were no foreign footprints found in the snow around the tent, only those of the hikers. Another popular theory involves secret Soviet weapons testing. Another group of hikers miles away reported seeing strange orange spheres in the night sky on the night of the incident. Some believe a low-flying missile or a parachute bomb exploded nearby, releasing toxic fumes or creating a shock wave that crushed the hikers' ribs and forced them to flee in a panic. This would also explain why some of their clothing tested positive for high levels of radioactivity. A highly fascinating scientific theory points to a phenomenon called infrasound. When the wind blows perfectly over a specific dome-shaped mountain like Kolatsyakal, it can create a Kármán vortex street, producing low-frequency sound waves. While humans can't hear infrasound, the body senses it. It can trigger intense, uncontrollable panic attacks, nausea, and psychological terror. Did a sudden wave of infrasound drive the hikers temporarily insane, causing them to slash the tent and run blindly into the freezing night? For years, the most logical theory was a standard avalanche, but many experts doubted it because the slope wasn't steep enough and there was no evidence of a massive snowslide. As for why they were in their underwear, scientists point to paradoxical undressing, a known phenomenon in severe hypothermia, where a person's brain malfunctions, making them feel burning hot right before they freeze to death, causing them to strip off their clothes. For over 60 years, the Dyatlov Pass remained an unsolved puzzle, but in 2020, a new scientific study offered what might be the definitive answer. Using advanced computer modeling, interestingly, using the same animation code Disney used for the movie Frozen, researchers demonstrated that a rare type of avalanche called a slab avalanche could have occurred. The hikers had cut into the snowpack to pitch their tent, which weakened the slope. Hours later, heavy katabatic winds deposited a massive heavy slab of packed snow onto the tent while they slept, fracturing skulls and ribs instantly. Trapped and terrified of a second avalanche, the survivors cut their way out, dragged the wounded down into the forest, and eventually succumbed to the brutal minus 30-degree weather. While the slab avalanche theory explains the injuries and the escape, many believe it still doesn't answer everything. The radiation, the glowing orange spheres, and the sudden closure of the Soviet files keep the mystery alive. What do you think really happened on that frozen mountain in 1959? Was it a tragic natural disaster? Or is the Russian government hiding the truth? Let us know your theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more mysteries. Thanks for watching.
ENIGMAVA. Unlock the unknown. Uncovering the secrets of time.